Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'm here today with our first YouTube hop with my crafty friends called Paper Sisters. We're super excited. 6 of us got together and decided we wanted to challenge each other with a theme for the next couple of months and see how we each interpret it. All 6 of us have very different styles, so I cannot wait to see what the others have made. We are going to come to you every second Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So please, if you're not in Eastern time zone, Google what time it will be for you. For me, that is, it's 7 p.m. for me. So, Google what time 1 p.m. Eastern is for your time zone. But the 6 of us, if you saw in the previous slide, we have Kimmy, who's Salty Beach Scrapper, Debbie, who is Curating Memories, Creative Life, Leslie, who is Mermaid Code Studios, Denise, who is Treasures of a Crafty Mind, Kim H, who is Trey Jolie Kit Club, and me, Tiffany, Crafting Like a Boss McGill. So I'm so excited. This month's theme is sweater weather. So however you interpret sweater weather, but the caveat was we had to have a sweater of some sort somewhere in our project. So as you can see, I picked this image with this cozy girl just enjoying her fall day. I am team autumn all day long. She's enjoying her day. She has her tea, her cocoa, whatever you drink, coffee, and just all snuggly on her couch, probably listening to an audiobook. It just tells a story. I love it. This was a image that I purchased from Etsy, and I cannot find who I purchased it from. I have 2 Etsy accounts, a domestic and an international one, and I couldn't find it on either. But if you Google on Etsy, or not Google, if you search on Etsy fall digital scrapbook paper, a ton of it pops up. You can pick what you want. For today's project, I have used this paper collection, Fall Rustica by Designs by Remnants. I got these at Expo. Finally using it. I probably got these at Expo like 2 years ago. Or more than 2 years ago. Probably like 5 years ago. I don't know. Or even longer, knowing me. And I used pretty much everything. This is all that's left. I think there was, how many sheets? So there's 8 sheets of paper in here. And I used all of them. And this is a 7x9, what you call them? Folio. So, I thought I was going to use a lot more paper, but the 8 sheets worked out fine, and I still have some left. And I did use a couple of stickers from the collection. Which one is right here? Perfect, right? So I'm going to do a quick walkthrough, and then we'll get into the tutorial. So here's the cover. Oh, the other paper I used was Stampin' Up! More Mustard. That is a retired color, but that's what I used. Okay, here's the side. Here is the back. I did a lot of color blocking. That's my thing now. I love color blocking, but I also had to save paper, right? Because I only had 8 sheets of paper, and I used a lot of it in the inside. You'll see that in a second. But this folio holds 5x7 pictures. 5x7 is smaller. You could crop it 8x10. Because this piece right here, this is a full 7x9. I wouldn't okay, I'm all over the place. What I did is I blocked off where my magnets were, just to kind of remind me not to put any pictures or anything on these 2 strips right here, because that's where my magnets are. You don't have to use magnets because this will stay closed by itself, but I just love the snap of a magnet. If you do use magnets, make sure you disclose that somewhere. Like if you're doing a craft fair, given as a gift, put a little sticker or write a little thing on the packaging contains magnets. I learned that from a craft fair. a lady said that she can't be near magnets because she has a pacemaker. And so, yeah, just keep that in mind. What I'm doing right now is just showing you picture possibilities of ways to lay out your pictures. Obviously, these are just random, random pictures I have in my stash. But you can, you know, lay it out. This is a 3x5. These are 2x3s. You don't have to just do one solid picture, but you can. Look how beautiful. Same thing over here. Put your 4x6. Do two, you know, overlap. Just, you know, make your collages. You can add, you know, paper to write notes or whatever, journaling. All right. So this one flips up and the back is just plain. Again, collage your photos, add one 5x7. I typically don't print 5x7s, but this is a 5x7. And so see, it fits beautifully right in there. Again, you have room. Here, more photos. More photos. Add photos. This is your pocket that these came out of. So I just took one of the stickers and I backed it. You can add a picture, a 4x6 uncropped, right on the back to tell that story. I'll hold out my 5x7 so you can see. Also, I did some matting for 2x3s. I'm just going to stick those back in there. So you can do a lot of little things in your pocket. Okay, beautifully, 5x7. Look at that, gorgeous. All right, so let's flip open and we're going to look at the middle section. Middle section is my favorite, of course, because I am obsessed with waterfalls. And this time I decided to do the waterfalls in the pattern paper because this was very thick paper. And honestly, I didn't feel like cutting strips of paper to cover the seams and, you know, all of that. So I decided to use the paper collection. This is sized, so your 4x6 picture fits perfectly. And you have extra paper down here so you can add a title or just look at that gorgeous fall paper. And guess what? Ta-da! This is a pocket. So a little touch space pocket. You can put your 5x7 photos back there. You can put your 4x6. And then you also have this whole 4x6 waterfall that goes back there. Beautiful. This is what I was talking about on the seams, because you know you have to cut that little piece out to cover the seams, but not when you use the pattern paper. It's already done for you. So absolutely gorgeous. Vertical and your horizontal pictures. Okay, again, beautifully sized to have that extra paper down at the bottom. So when you close your waterfall, all you're seeing is that beautiful paper and not like this, which is not it's not horrible, like, but this is, you know, people's legs and, you know, so sometimes I just want to see the paper. I don't want to see cut off legs. So when you close it, it's beautiful, just the paper. Again, look at all that real estate. Even have another space down here for your 4x6. And it still has, you can see that beautiful paper there, and you still have the frame. Okay. Yes, that was my cute little family from 2016. My babies. All right, over here, again, this is a flip up. You have lots of space for the pictures. Collage out your pictures. Use different sizes, different you know, subjects, whatever. I don't know what word I was looking for there, but different orientations. That's the word I was looking for. So you can have some vertical, you can have some horizontal, or if you don't want to do that, you don't have to follow what's already on there. If you want your big old picture like that, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Your 5x7 will fit on there. You're gonna have to crop it just a little bit. Well, maybe not. Your 5x7 will fit vertically. Flip up, you have all that real estate on the back. Down here, another space. Look at that, put your 5x7, add your 2x3s on top. Gorgeous. Okay, this flips up again because I love a waterfall. And then guess what you have in here? Another waterfall for 5x7 pictures. Here's where I use the other sticker in the collection. And I just did some color blocking with the plaid. The plaid was my favorite. Use that corner punch to make a little flappy. And then I just left the rest blank so you can fit your full 5x7 picture in there, uncropped, ready to go. So this one you are going to have to crop it. I think you can fit your 4x6 here. Yep. You can fit your 4x6 with my corner punch, my corner edge. Or again, you can do your 4x6s with your 2x3s, or, you know, whatever you want. Okay, so you flip, you flip, you flip. And then you have another real estate, another 5x7 picture beautifully in there, or your 4x6 and lower. So just a lot of interaction, but very basic. Whenever I'm making scrapbooks for the masses, I do them very basic because some people don't like to have to figure out how to open it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and make this album right now. Let me put my 4x6 back in here, my 5x7. This pocket does have a 1/2 inch gusset, so you can get a lot of photo mats in here if you want. I just put these 4. Alright, so first off, what you're going to need are 2 pieces that are 8 1/4 by 9, scored on the short side at 1/2 and 1 1/4. I'm going to use pink because I really want to use this collection. So I'm going to use pink. Alright, so 2 pieces at 8 1/4 by 9. Oh no. This is Retired Blushing Bride. This was one of my favorite pinks. They tried to take it away and people had a fit. They brought it back and then they took it away again. So, and I'm cutting both sheets at the same time. I probably would recommend not doing that, only because there was one project that I cut all the sheets together and I cut them all wrong. You would think I would have learned from that, but I didn't. Alright, so on the short side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1 1/4. So, you want your score lines on your left side. If you're using directional paper, it's very important that you put the score lines on your left side, because that's going to be your binding in here. So see how I scored it on the left? You're going to fold it in and your binding is going to go in here. Okay. I know I'm using the right side of my board, but I'm using cardstock, so it does not matter because my paper is not directional. Okay, and then you need to cut one piece that is 7 by 9. There are no score marks on this one. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our 2 pieces that do have score lines. We're going to go ahead and varnish our, excuse my arm, score lines here. Okay, so this is the inside, right? We're going to put our glue on the inside. Where's my glue? Or your tape. I'm doing glue today. It's very rare that I do glue, but I'm doing glue today. And you're going to take your 7x9 piece and you're going to put it right in that glue. And you're going to go right up to your score line, not touching it, definitely not going over it, but right up to it. Okay. And making sure that's dry. I'm going back to tape because this is already too much. Where's my tape? Okay, I'm sticking with glue because I have no idea where my tape is. All right, and then on the second piece that has the score lines, we're going to go ahead and glue that 1/2 inch on the inside, or as Kathy from Paper Phenomenon says, the bumpy side. And we're going to go right up to that score line, not touching it, definitely not going over it. Yes, I say that even when I'm not even doing a tutorial because sometimes you just get crazy. Okay, tape is so much faster. Ugh. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and put this aside. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut my pieces for my folio, each section. So we're going to work on the left section, which you need one piece that is 5 3/4 by 8 7/8. So look through your paper pack and see if you can find some scraps. Where's my paper trimmer? So if you're using 8.5 by 11 paper, I would do the bigger measurements first and then the smaller. But if you're using 12 by 12, do the smaller measurement first and then the bigger, because then you can fit more on there. And this is scored on the long side at 1/2 inch. Okay, that's it for that piece. And then you need a second piece that is 3.5 by 6 7/8. That is a pocket. So 3.5 by 6 7/8. I'm trying to find scrap. Dang it, all my scraps are just too short. Okay. So 3.5 by 6 7/8. You're going to score it twice on the long side and once on the short. So just a pocket, you're going to make a U shape. Okay. That is it for our left side. If you are a taper, go ahead and tape it up. I found my tape. Both of these are going to be on the top or the dented side. All right, so then we're going to work on our, let me think, do I want to work on the middle pieces or the right hand side first? The middle pieces are just a lot of waterfall. Let's go ahead and work on our waterfall pieces. All right, so first what you're going to do is put a clip on these so you know this is your left side and put it on the left side. Next, you're going to do the middle is 5 pieces, which are 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. scored on the long side at 1/2 inch. Okay. You could do 4 pieces if you want. You just have to make your other piece smaller, the bottom piece. It's up to you. I just use scraps, so. All right, so 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. Paper's not always 8 1/2 even. Okay, and then I gotta cut 1 more of those, and you're gonna score it on the long side at 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all of that, and I'm gonna tape mine. Okay, so I got all 5 of mine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cut out, scored, and taped. And now we're gonna go ahead and cut out our horizontal waterfall, which you need 4 pieces that are 5 1/4 by 6 1/4. So this is how I'm cutting mine. On my 8 1/2 by 11 piece of paper, I'm putting the short side at top, and I'm gonna do my 6 1/4 cut. And then I'm gonna rotate it and do my 5 1/4 cut. And I'm doing 2 pieces at the same time, so I get all 4 of mine at the same time. Okay. So that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we are going to score on the short side at 1/2 inch. Just put the short side up, score 1/2 inch on all of them. There's only 4. All right, so let me go ahead and score and tape all of mine. Hit your pause button and score and tape all of yours too. Okay, so these are done. I do want to show you a sample or example of the waterfall with strips of paper. So this one I glued in. I didn't make it a pocket, but it still looks beautiful if you just add your strips of paper on your hinges and your paper, your waterfall. So let me see where my 4x6 is. See? It's just if you don't feel like doing all this extra work, then cut your waterfall out of your pattern paper. Okay. All right, so your next 2 pieces, I know I kind of went out of order. We should have cut our 8 1/2 by 4 1/4 and 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. We should have cut those pages, but I didn't yet. So, I mean, as long as you get it done, it doesn't matter what order you get it done. As long as you, I gotta go find another pack of this paper. As long as you follow the cutting guide and mark your pages, what's right, left, and middle, you're good to go. Okay, so 8 what is it? What did I say? 8 1/2 by 4 1/4. Here's my 4 1/4. Make sure my paper is at 8 1/2. Sometimes it's not. See, sometimes it's a lot. Okay, and then the other piece is 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. And these are just these pieces are actually optional if you don't want to cut them out. I'll put optional in the cutting guide. These are so you can lay your waterfalls so they are nice and straight. In the book, the sweater weather book, I used the long pieces, so it was nice and easy for me to line up. Same thing, my horizontal was on that backing piece. But in my other book that I just showed you, I glued my waterfall directly to the book. I didn't use any backing pieces. Like I just glued it straight down. You can't see because I mat it, but I glued it straight down to the book. There's no, see, there's no backing piece. I just glued it straight on there. If you're going to glue straight down onto your book, you do need a mat first. If you're going to use these backing pieces, you don't need a mat first. You will eventually have to mat, but not first. All right, so let's go ahead and take our piece that's 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. We're going to take our vertical waterfall and we're going to go ahead and lay that down. I work upside down, so this is my top page, but I work upside down. Making sure it's on there straight. Varnish it in. Varnish first. Backing off or add your glue. Line it up. Varnish it in. You're going to repeat that for all 5 pieces. Hit your pause and do all 5. Okay, so all 5 of mine are done. They should all be lined up on that piece. If you want to use your corner chompers, you can. You don't have to, you can leave it. And you're going to do the exact same thing with your horizontal pieces and on your 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. I'm pretty sure it's 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. Yeah. So again, the same exact process. And here we go. No borders. All right, you're gonna hit your pause button, and you're gonna do add your waterfall exactly how we did the other one. I'll show you one more. Okay, and we're gonna pause and add the rest of them. Perfect. All right, so we have our 2 waterfalls. That's all that goes in the middle. So put your clip on there and mark this as the middle with a pencil or whatever you want. Now we're going to cut our right side. And we need 2 pieces that are 6 7/8 by 8 7/8. So 2 pieces. See, this almost messed up. 2 pieces, 6 7/8 by 8 7/8. Score on the long side at 1/2 inch. Yes, I cut 2 out. So we're gonna score both of those, and we're going to pause and tape both of those. Well, I'm going to tape mine while y'all are still on here, but you can pause. And then you're going to cut out your 5 by 7 waterfall pieces and the backing piece for that. Again, the backing piece is optional. If you want to just glue it down to your base, then you don't need the backing piece. Okay, so I'm going to cut the backing piece first, which is 6 7/8 by 7 1/4. By 7 1/4. And that doesn't get any, no score lines on that. So I'm going to put that right here. Hopefully I don't think it's a scrap. And then I'm going to cut out 4 pieces that are 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. Now this measurement, there's no paper saving way on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. So sorry about that, but I wanted it for 5 by 7 pictures. All right, so 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. Scored on the short side at 1/2 inch. So if you're using 12 by 12 paper, you can get 2 out of a sheet. But if you're using 8.5 by 11, you're getting 1. Actually, you know what? We probably should have cut those first, and then we could have used these scraps. So maybe I will put a note. Yeah, I'll put a note in the description box to cut these the right side first, so that way you can use the scraps for your other waterfalls. Yeah, that makes so much more sense. Oh well, I didn't do that, so I gotta cut my paper. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut all 4 of mine. Okay, I have my backing, which I did put it away as it was a scrap. I knew I was going to. But it wasn't a scrap. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, and this is the same concept as your waterfalls. So which side does this need to go on? Okay. So I'm putting 2 on the left and 2 on the right. But of course, I'm working upside down, so it looks different than the words I'm saying. All right, so here's your 2 on the left, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 on the right. Look at that. I didn't tear it, but I folded it all crazy. And that's it for this. Now into your varnishing is the only step you cannot skip. Okay, all this other stuff is optional depending on how you want your book to look. The only step that is 100% mandatory is your varnishing, because that's what makes your book look nice and professional. So I did mine right side down, left side, right side, left side. You can do yours however you want. Right, so now we are done with all of our cutting pieces, I hope. And we can assemble our book. You can assemble it in any fashion you would like. Start with the right, start with the left, start with the middle, whatever you want. But what I'm going to do is, here's my folio, like this. I'm having mine open to the left. On the inside, I am taking a 1-inch ruler. I think this is 1 inch. Yep. And I'm going to mark off this 1-inch space. This is where my magnets are going to go. Even if you don't have magnets, you're going to have to, I need a pencil. You're going to have to do this step because I sized it specifically for this 1-inch strip. Okay. So your magnets are going to go here. And then on this piece, so our right side is still closed. On the folded edge, you're going to mark off that 1 inch as well. And that's where your other magnets are going to go. I mean, you don't have to do this, but it was easier for me to do this and then just erase it. Okay? So that's where that's going to go. Alright, so here are my magnets, and then I'm just going to line up. They have blue dots on them. So I'm just going to line it up. Press in those magnets, and there you go. So that's what it should look like. Okay, so now you have your closure if you choose so to do the magnetic closure. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with the left hand. What did I say? Yeah, I'm going to start with the left hand side. I probably said something different, but when I pause, I don't always just do the project. I usually get up and go do something else. And so who knows what I said before I paused. All right, so here we go. If you are going to use your punches for your pocket, do it now. This is why I don't do my punches on camera, because like if I mess up, I kind of said some cuss words. Okay. What I prefer to do is cut off the piece of the hinge that has the flower cutouts. It's just, for me, it's just easier. Some people like to keep it and they don't mind that it like looks double or whatever. I just prefer to cut that off so nothing gets caught on it. You know, when I'm trying to put my mats or whatever in and out. Okay, and then miter your corners like a normal pocket. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and lay that down on the left hand side. We're going to center that between the score line and that 1 inch mark that we made, or that I made. It should fit right in the middle of that. You do not want to touch your score line. If you go over your 1 inch mark, who cares? But don't go on your score line, okay? Okay, here we go. And I'm going to leave a slight tiny baby border. Okay. Perfect. Varnish this down. And then we're going to add our top flap. You're going to go ahead and punch it. If you're going to use your punches, it's going to go on. Feel free to mix and match your punches, right? How cute would that be? Different border punches. I only have one right now, so, you know, mine's going to get the same border punch. Your flaps you can punch once you put them in your book. Obviously your pocket, it's going to be hard to get that punch in there. All right, so I'm putting mine on the top. I'm going right, centering it in between those two lines. This is going to be shorter than your pocket. So you're going to see little pieces of your pocket hanging out, which I like the look of that. So that's why I designed it that way. All right, so that's the end of the left side. The middle, pull out your two waterfalls. Now, I did not mat my middle first. I don't think I did. Not on this one. Oh wait, I lied to you. I did. Alright, so I matted my middle first. So if you want to do that, you absolutely can. When you put this down, you're going to have your little border like this. And then you're going to have your pocket. So I guess I should mat first and then put it down. Or you can always do your color blocking. You can do 1/4 inch strips on the side and then do a thing, but I'm going to mat first and then lay these down. Okay, I picked this super loud flowers and stripes. All right, so what you're going to do is take your horizontal waterfall and you're going to glue on 3 sides. So the left, the bottom, and the right, okay? That's going to make your pocket. And I'm putting mine about a little less than 1/2 inch from the bottom just because I want to be honest. And you're going to let that dry. Now, because I just randomly eyeball where I wanted it to match up with that bottom stripe, you might have to cut down your vertical bottom flap. I am actually going to just let this dry. And I will put this in later. So I'm going to put the vertical off to the side and we're going to work on the right hand side. The right hand side, I did not mat first. Because you got to add, hold on. You have to add your top two pieces, and then if you don't mat first, then you can have this beautiful full space that kind of covers your hinges, and then you just use like, I think I used 1/4 inch strips to cover the gaps. But on my other example, I did mat first, and I don't love the way it came out. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. So let me show you the other example of just gluing straight to your mats as opposed to, so see here, I didn't have that seamless piece in the middle because I matted first. So I put this burgundy down and then I glued my 5x7 waterfall directly to my matting. And so I had to kind of cover the hinges with some other paper. And like I said, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. I love the look of that seamless. What you call them? This seamless paper in this one. So that's the difference. See that? So it's really your preference, or it's really if you remember to wait to mat, or you just get eager beaver and mat everything. That's what happened in the first one. Then it is what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and pull out our pieces for our left side. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and put my large pieces down first. So I turn my book upside down because I work upside down. Varnish. And this should fit. It is slightly smaller than the page. And I'm only giving this like an itty bitty bitty border, which I probably shouldn't even do, but I am. Okay. And then you're going to take your next large piece. Because of course I had to have another waterfall-ish, kind of. And you're going to go ahead and line that up. Oh, that it is what it is. And press it in. Okay. I'm going to flip my book back around. It's crooked because I dropped the second piece. I'm going to have to use my undo. Well, I don't have undo. I have this adhesive remover, and I got to fix that because I don't like that. Okay, I'm back in business. So while I was waiting for that to dry, I punched my top flap, put my second flap back on there, and now I'm ready for my 5x7 waterfall. And it's going to fit right in the middle. So you're going to determine how you want to line this up. I lined it up so that way there's my 1/2 inch hinge, and then there's 1/4 inch here between the waterfall and that hinge. And then that gave me about 1/4 inch on the bottom. That's how I lined mine up. Or if at this point, if you want to mat all of this first so that way you don't see this hinge at all, you can do that too. And then lay this right on top. That actually is kind of a good idea, isn't it? But I kind of waste like that whole middle of this paper. So I'm just gonna use the little strips of paper as opposed to matting the whole thing. If you have a piece of paper in your collection that's not your favorite, feel free to use that as your matting, because you're only going to see 1/4 of an inch on the top, 1/4 of an inch on the bottom. Okay. There you go. So you're going to lay that in there. And no, I'm not worried that my paper is ripped right here because I'm going to cover it up. But if I was worried, I could just add a little bit of glue, re-wet those fibers, and you won't even know that it was ever ripped. Okay. So that is done on our right hand side. Going back to our middle, and take your last flap of your vertical paper and put it right in that center. And like I said, you might have to cut off 1/4 of an inch to fit it down in there, which I am going to have to, because like I said, I put my waterfall, my horizontal waterfall, I kind of put it up a little too high, but I really just wanted it to match with this stripe. So if you have to cut off the piece of this last flap, who cares? Or even a little bit more. But here's where, if you didn't use the optional flaps, and you're going to glue it right down to your paper, and you're not going to have a pocket, but that's fine. So if you want a pocket, you got to do it this way. If you don't want a pocket, then you can glue it straight down. So for me, I'm going to have to cut off a 1/2 inch off that bottom because I went up too high. But again, I do not mind because that's where I wanted it, like so. Alright guys, that is the tutorial. Now all you have left to do is mat, and you're done. Alright, thanks so much for watching. Please hop on to the other ladies. I know this tutorial was a little long, but it is what it is. Alright, enjoy your Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next month on the second Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Bye!